Maybe you can kind of like share with me how the justice system overall kind of works here in Japan.
Okay, so if you get arrested, police will get you in custody for 72 hours. And within that 72 hours, they have to decide whether to detain you or not. The prosecutor will file a request. And if the judge approves such request, then you'll get detained for 10 days. And this 10 days, it could be extended for 10 more days. So in total, the detainment will last 23 days. And if you're a foreigner and you don't have a permanent residency, it's likely that you'll get arrested and get detained for 23 days for one crime.
Okay.
Of course, if you have committed another crime and if they arrest you for that, that will be 46.
So if you say you like shoplift and then you also assaulted someone,
Yes.
23 days each.
Yes.
So yeah, I got arrested twice.
What did that just mean?
I've been held against my will for 45 days.
Bro.
Do not get arrested in Japan, because it's not what you think it is. This was a legal modern day torture facility.
What?
They stripped me down naked and had me do squats to make sure that nothing fell out of my vagina.
Out on bail, fresh out of jail, California dreaming.
I'm gonna need therapy.
This is YouTuber Sundai Love speaking about her run-in with the Japanese authorities, her dealings with the Japanese legal system, and her subsequent 45-day incarceration period in Japan. I'm not going to speculate on what I think she did because I have no way of knowing, but I think it's pretty obvious that 2 infractions, or at least 2 perceived infractions, were committed. And I think it's important to at least discuss this for one of 2 reasons. The first one, of course, is that the Japanese police, they don't play. They don't play. And there are certain things that foreigners come here and do, and you're just not going to get away with those things. And the other thing, of course, is that as Americans, we have our own sense of what justice and due process is, but that's America. Other countries have different ways of doing things based on their tolerance for being shamed, for keeping the social harmony, or even historical events like the Opium Wars. And so we have to understand that all of those things are more important in their culture than due process or being violated or feeling like you're violated are in our culture.
I'm gonna leave a lot of details out just for like legal reasons, so I'm not gonna be naming any entities or anything like that. Please don't contact nobody, don't try and write nobody, because honestly, if I told y'all what really like the nitty gritty, y'all would be rioting in the streets like my family's trying to do right now, because it's some total nonsense and it's actually insane. But yeah, I'm gonna leave out the names of these devils. I don't wanna drop out, I'm tired. So yeah, 8 a.m. I was arrested. They came to my house. I shouldn't have even been arrested because I've been talking to these folks for I don't know how long. Oh, a kitty. Oh, there's a cat outside. Anyways, came to my house. I was dead asleep, got pajamas on. They're like, yeah, you're getting arrested. And I'm just like, is this serious? At this point, to be honest, I was so over it that I was just like, yeah, let's get this over with. Let me get this lawyer so I can get y'all off my back, because this is actually absolutely insane. Like, it didn't even make no sense at this point. And in Japan, if you get arrested, it's like you just vanish off of the map. They don't tell anyone where you are. You can't call your family. You can't do anything. You're just like sucked out of reality.
As someone who has lived in Japan for more than a couple of decades, I have heard a variety of stories of incidents that led to people being jailed in Japan. The consensus usually is if that person disappears for a week or 2, something happened and you'll see them shortly because their process is not due process, hire a lawyer, go home and get bail. It is a deterrent to not trying to disturb the natural order of things, which is more important to them than the American system, where you point to someone and say, it's your fault for all of this. You deserve to go to jail or you owe me money. I even know a person who's gone to jail here, a guy who ran a bar. And when he came out, he said, yeah, I made a mistake and I shouldn't have done that. And he pretty much got the message, don't do it again, which is really the reason why they do their system the way they do it. Do I think it's unfair as an American? It's not really my call, because like I said before, their system is based on how to preserve their own way of life, which is very different from ours. And so we have to understand that when we're here.
So yeah, 8 a.m. they came to my house to arrest me. So I'm in my pajamas. I just woke up. I'm pretty sure it might be the same in America. They just arrest you like however you are. Y'all, I heard some crazy stories from some other folks in there, but I wasn't having it, okay? I was like, I'm brushing my teeth, I'm putting on some pants, and I'm feeding my cat. You got me messed up. Really trying to hurry me up and just like put me in handcuffs and take me in the house. I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm feeding my cat. And I really put my foot down because I don't have a spine. I'm a pushover. I really am. But I put my foot down. I was like, no. Duchess is getting her food. She's getting her wet food. I'm filling up her dry food. I'm putting up a bunch of bowls of water, and I'm just doing all this like at my pace. And they're like really rushing me and tapping pins, and it's like SWAT team in there, right? And I'm like, I don't even care. I even brushed my teeth, y'all. That's how over it I was. I was like, I really don't. What are you gonna do, arrest me? The police actually told me that I was gonna need money, and they took some money out of my wallet. So I was like, all right, let's just bring it. That was the only thing that they allowed me to bring with me. I could not bring chapstick, nothing. I was barely allowed to wear a bra, which later I quickly realized was absolutely unnecessary because I couldn't keep it in there. So anyways, get to the, I think like a police department or something. They did the fingerprints, the dang photo, and I'm like, wow, I'm really a thug now. I should drop an album. It took quite some time. I didn't get any breakfast, obviously, because they woke me up fresh out of my bed. After we were all done, they ended up giving me lunch, which was combini sandwiches. I'm not trying to sound like super picky, but like anybody who knows me knows I really don't like sandwiches. I don't know why, I just don't like them.
If you looked at the comments underneath this video, you'd see a lot of people condemning Japan. But recently there's been a very strong anti-foreigner wave, which pretty much led to the government that's in place now, because many foreigners come to Japan and act the way that they would act in their home country. Here, this young lady, she had the police waiting on her, and she took time to feed the cat and brush her teeth, and she said that she was going to be intentional about taking her time. And I can be honest with you, the police did not like that. They didn't like that at all, especially if they have given her notice that we're going to come to your house on this particular day at this particular time because we need to detain you or whatever. They were probably expecting her to be ready, and the idea that she was going to make them wait because she is someone special is a very American idea, which, like I said, has led to many people having a growing anti-foreigner sentiment here because they don't like foreigners acting like foreigners and inconveniencing people. But that's not judgment. That's just an American that's not used to living in Japan.
So he put the sandwiches down, and that's when I was just getting so teary-eyed. I had to hold back because I knew they were the enemy and they're not about to see me cry. So I really couldn't eat them sandwiches. I think I took like 2 bites of the egg salad sandwich because I was like, yeah, girl, you don't know when you're gonna eat again. You might want to eat this. The egg salad sandwiches really do be hitting, but I just was not in the mood for that, and I really don't like sandwiches. Little did I know, I definitely should have eaten that sandwich. If only I knew how much worse it was gonna get. So after that, I was shipped off to the detention center. Now, this is what I want to cover. What is a Japanese detention center exactly? If you're arrested in Japan, you can be held at this detention facility for up to 22 days. This is the corrupt part. This is before they've even determined whether you are innocent or guilty. This is before anyone's looked at any of your information. They're just holding you here. So let's imagine that you jaywalked and a police officer saw you, but actually another police officer is the one who told you that you could because the light was broken at the time, but he walked off, and so you got arrested. You're gonna be held there. It doesn't matter what you did or didn't do, they can hold you there for days.
I think it's important to mention that the chance of you going to jail for jaywalking in Japan is almost zero. They do have a fine system. So for things like walking while you are looking at your smartphone, you could possibly get a ticket for that. Or if you're riding your bike while you are watching your smartphone or something like that, you can get a ticket for that. But going to jail for those kinds of infractions probably are not going to happen. Generally speaking, the kinds of things that most people end up in jail for are altercations, things that involve impaired operating of machinery like a car or a bicycle, or controlled substances. Those are generally the kinds of things that get foreigners in trouble. But that said, she is correct about how they're not playing around. When you get sent to that detention facility, it is not fun and games, and they are not talking about your rights and how you're being violated. The whole point of the whole process is for you to understand that you don't want to do what you just did to get there again.
The number 2 corrupt part is just the level that it is. When you hear the word detention center, you think something very mild, something below jail, right? Absolutely not. This was a modern day torture facility. This place is designed to exhaust you, stress you out, and just put you in the worst state physically and mentally as they possibly can legally to get you to admit to being guilty. So the whole purpose of this place is to just exhaust you and stress you out beyond what should be legal to get you to confess to your crime. So it's basically like a little torture facility. I know. And again, this is before they've even determined whether you're guilty or innocent. Their goal is to make you say that you're guilty. This is a lot to take in, and it is a lot of information, but I do think it's extremely important, and this can happen to literally anybody, for something as small as having NyQuil or Benadryl in your suitcase to walking out of the store accidentally with some something in your hand. Like, it can happen to anyone, and I do think it's very important that everyone knows the system in Japan.
She detailed the process of having to remove all of her garments of clothing, but it's really important the next part because it gives you an insight to not just how the Japanese detention center works, but how Japan works when you end up going to jail.
And then you also have to go over all of the rules for the facility. The rule book was like this. She just had me sitting there while she's going through the rules and stuff, and I'm like, I'm not gonna remember all this. Like, can I just write something down? I'm just trying to like retain as much information as I possibly could that was actually important, like the daily schedule. I think I saw on there, wake up at 6, and I was like, oh, I'm in for it. Like, it's just get ready Sunday, because this is not a joke. Keep in mind, everything is in Japanese, which wasn't a huge issue for me. One of the rules said that you can only shower once every 5 days. I can't remember what she said that got me to ask this question, but then I asked her, how many people am I gonna be sharing a room with? She said 2, and I asked her, like, are they dangerous? Like, what do they do? Do you have us mixed in with people who have done like more serious crimes? I can't remember how I said this in Japanese. And they were very like kind. I wouldn't say kind, but like, you know, that high-pitched, happy Japanese voice that they put on. They were all like very kind and high-pitched and in that tone until I asked this question. She got so serious that I knew this is not a game. She was like, do not talk to anybody in here. Do not tell them your real name. Do not tell them where you live. Do not tell them why you are here or what you did. And I was just like, oh, it was the tone for me. I was like, oh, this is not a game. I'm just gonna be quiet. And then they had me stand there and they started doing like this body examination. They have to make a detailed report about all of the tattoos on your body. I was like, oh, I have 9. We're gonna be here for a while. But I'm like, look, it's just Gigi. Like, it's Ghibli. It's I love Japan. I'm not Yakuza. If you don't know, pretty much the only people here in Japan that have tattoos for the most part are the Yakuza. That's why they have such a bad rep in Japan.
This is her showing a large tattoo on her lower back, which for us as Americans, that's something we see every day. We see face tattoos. We see people with sleeve tattoos all the time. But here, it has a very different connotation. So when they spent a bunch of time documenting all of the different tattoos, maybe the person doing the detaining was worried that maybe she has some kind of connection to a criminal element. I'm not saying that that's fair because clearly I don't think she does. But here is a very different place from America. So we get face tattoos, and the young person here, they get piercings on the ear or something different. They just don't see tattoos the same way. And so I'm sure this all was also taken into account when they were thinking about what kind of character she had when she was being processed. And again, not saying right or wrong, I'm saying we're not in America. And so that might have possibly been a part of the thinking in all of this.
They treat you like the biggest criminal. Like, you can't make any sudden movements at all. So I was just figuring like, okay, I just can't put on my own underwear. She's like standing next to me and I'm like squatting to put on the underwear, but she takes it and I'm just like, okay, maybe she's gonna put it on for me. And then she gestures like to do like this and I'm like, okay. So I squat down waiting for her to put the drawers on and she doesn't and she goes back up. So I go back up and I'm like, okay, I did something wrong. So then we go back down and then I go back up and then I go back down. I'm like, what are we doing wrong? They wanted me to do squats so that she could ensure that nothing fell out of my vagina. That's when I realized, yeah, you're not in Kansas anymore. It wasn't until like the 4th squat that I understood what was going on. Oh. So I had to do a few more squats and she was really down there like looking to see if anything fell out of my. Mind you, when y'all find out what I actually did or didn't do actually, this would make your blood boil.
If you find yourself studying for the Japanese language proficiency test, one of the first kanji, the borrowed Chinese characters that you're going to learn first is wa. Wa means peace or harmony, but the way that the Japanese people like to think of the Japanese way and living in Japanese society is that the peaceful, harmonious way of existing in a society is the Japanese way. So what they really mean when they say wa is Japan. So we say Wagyu, which is a mispronunciation of Wagyu, which means harmonious beef, but it really just means Japanese beef. And when you see wa shoku, it's an expression of the fact that the proper meal has a balance of all of the different food groups presented in a way that is balanced. The Japanese way, if you will. If I had a chance to speak with Sundai Love, I would tell her that it's quite possible that by American standards, you did not do anything wrong. As a matter of fact, there's a good possibility that you were wronged. But we're not in America. And what I would ask her is, what was your reaction after said incident happened? Did you get angry? Did you raise your voice? Did you disrupt some other person's business? Because that disturbing the peace is what's more important. From American standards, it seems crazy to us. We think about who's right, who's wrong, who's supposed to pay who, and who's at fault. But in Japan, it's about keeping the peace. Our idea of violating or breaking the peace is that if I have been wronged, it is my right to protest or get loud or to even defend myself or whatever course of action you choose to take. But in Japan, it's very different. And that's something that is very difficult to learn in a year, a couple of weeks, a weekend, or however long you're in Japan. You think, I'm American, we do things the American way, I was wronged, I have a right to make a disturbance. But in a Japanese culture where peace and harmony is more important, it's the disturbance, it's the raising your voice, it's the causing a scene that could be the crime itself. I know it's hard for us to believe that, but everyone doesn't live the same. And if you call your food washoku, which means food that has harmony, you best believe that harmony is more important than size, amount of calories, taste, or even things we care about like price or the amount of food you get. And so, if you come to Japan, understand that when they say wa, they mean harmony, like a circle. And when that circle gets broken, that's when stuff happens. So when you come to Japan, understand it's that circle of harmony that matters most. And try not to go to jail either. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.